Yeah, Bakes, special. We are around athletes, teams enough to know when it's different. Like you evaluate what you think a team is going to do. You try to assess the it factor and whether they have it. Combination of experience, talent, intangibles. And I'm telling you, man, you put all of those things together on this team. You listen to the guys talk. They had the month of May off. All of these guys were still working, going to California to work out, going to Illinois to work out, coming back to Ann Arbor to work out. That's just J.J. McCarthy, right? All of the guys have been doing that. That makes you think that this is a little bit different this year.
It's, look, the last 2 years speak for themselves. As we said last night, if you ain't happy now, get another team because this is about as good as it gets. But the inside the locker room aspect, which you had a taste of last night, those guys clearly enjoy being around each other. They clearly enjoy the game. And also, by the way, if you met Coach Herb, the last thing you want to do in the workouts is start over. So taking 2 weeks off is ill-advised. And they know that too, of course. But no, the energy is sky high. Look, it's June. You can only predict so much. But were they better June last year? Were they better than June the year before that? No. I mean, in every way I can measure, including quarterback, of course, Devin's position, this is bound to be an even better season. And back to the film study for a second. What I found striking, not surprising because I've been around these guys and been in his film sessions and so on. But, man, once you put a play up there, okay, this is Purdue. Yeah, I know this one. And this one, and not only
we didn't pre-show them the plays.
No, there's no cheat sheets here, none of that. So they not only knew what they were going to do, they said, and Stainer still, he got his guy, and I knew that. So, I mean, they know where at least half the guys are going to be. And, yeah, I know this one. And that shows you how much film these guys watch. What happens on Saturdays is very rarely happenstance. Now, again, as Devin pointed out, Donovan Edwards might freelance something here and there. Caveat emptor, do that at your own risk. Yeah. But you got a sense for how much goes into every game.
Yeah, and so I really need to – I want to come back to the quarterback piece in a second. But the play that we're talking about with Donovan was the split zone for a touchdown in the Big Ten championship game. And you watch it on film and you think, oh, well, wow, he just made some guy. He freelanced that play.
Right.
There were the direction that the play was supposed to go, the 5 yards were there.
Yeah.
Like you watch it on film and you grade it, his coaches would say, run it right there, please. Right.
And maybe you get a one-on-one with safety and you beat him.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. But 5 yards is what they needed.
For sure.
5 yards is what they needed. Keep on doing that. You're winning games.
But you get some insight. He's like, but I want more than 5 yards. You better get it.
Better not get 2.
Right, and he did it. And so I talked to Mike about that down in Arizona at the playoff game, and I said, so when you have a player that does that, how do you corral that? How do you make sure that he's not doing that all the time? He said it's very, very simple. I won't yell at you as long as you got to get at least 5 yards when you venture off on your own. The minute you don't do that, we got problems. We're gonna be sitting down.
Yeah.
In my office saying, don't do that anymore. But when you get a touchdown, okay, well, I got to give you some leeway, right?
Well, also it makes you a little more calculated because the other running back is Blake Corum. So it's like, you can't freelance too much, right? You freelance too much and it doesn't work. And not really too much. You freelance one time after I've asked you to get 5 and you don't get 5 on that one. Blake!
That's right.
I mean, you have somebody that's fully capable to get back into the game.
That is not a hard call, is it?
Of course not.
Right.
Yeah.
And look, it's the observation. Second. Because Blake wasn't available
exactly.
that game.
Like, I can freelance just a little bit more here. There is nobody that will be replacing me in this one. And then that's when you can birth those special plays and whatever. But he's a special player, and that was a very special play. And we don't see him do it all the time.
Right.
So it's like kind of the quarterback. I call it like a careful risk taker.
Yeah. So
right, where you're throwing it. It seems like you're throwing it in the coverage, but you calculate a risk. Maybe interceptions will come from it, and maybe you'll get a tackle for loss here or there. But for the most part, it'll be positive.
Yeah, so the culture on the team, you saw Jim really take stock in after the 2020 season where he knew some changes had to be made and basically changed out a good portion of his staff, brought back guys like
more
Mike
than half.
Bellamy.
More than half.
Right, and really I think set a tone. He called it cultural momentum, and it started there, right? And so his hires since then, for the most part, since he's been here, he's had a high hit rate. But, man, since 2000, it's gone to another level. And that is a huge, huge deal for any coach of a great program because you're going to lose coaches, Bakes. He's going to lose 3 or 4 coaches after this season.
If you're any good.
Right. So you better be an outstanding, not just recruiter of players, but outstanding recruiter of coaches and assessor of coaching talent, because you're going to be replacing them a good deal. And so far in this latest cycle, Jim Harbaugh's been on another level.
It's been like 3 generations of coaches, even in 8 years, I think. That's the modern game, obviously. And Bo said you got 2 choices. Your coaches that get hired or they stink, and you're stuck with them. So.
Well, listen, so I think a big deal, Devin, is going to be the addition of Kirk Campbell. Sometimes you fall up the stairs. And I'm just saying. And I think that this is an example of that, because if you look back at last season and you look at JJ, and man, Borges would go crazy because he still goes crazy on you. He's like, man, Devin, look at his footwork.
Yeah,
Devin,
dude, I'm not the one playing. Why
like the lookie in the Hawaii game. You're giving JJ some slack, because JJ, I don't know if you guys remember, we watched these plays so much that we got him committed to memory. It was a slant that he threw to Ronnie Bell, and it was a little behind Ronnie, and Ronnie drops it, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
All right, so
I wouldn't say
Devin,
behind. It was on his frame.
It was behind him, Devin. It was behind him.
Says the quarterback.
It was on his shoulder pad frame.
I love JJ too. It was behind him, right?
Both hands touched it.
Borges. So Devin said, hey, look at Sam. He freezes the linebacker with a glance, and then he opens the window for Ronnie. Borges is going crazy. He said, he read that totally wrong. He read that totally wrong. Shouldn't even be looking at that side of the field. It should be the other side of the field. And his point was, he is so blessed physically. He is so immensely talented that he can make plays like the one that you just said. Because even when it's wrong, he can make it right. But imagine if he does it right and he has that immense physical talent, it goes to the next level. And I think that's the lock that Kirk Campbell is going to help him unlock this season.
Yeah, of course. And last night I talked about the conversation I had a couple years ago when I think that was when Kirk Campbell first got on the staff. And Fred Jackson, Fred Jackson's not just throwing out praise willy-nilly, right? Fred Jackson is pretty stern in his approach on many things. And it was so unprompted. He's just like, listen, if you want to know anything about this offense, and he used different words that can't be used on the radio. He said that guy right there, and he's pointing at Kirk Campbell. He said you need to talk to him if you want to learn anything about this offense, right? And so that was way before anybody even thought that we would need a new quarterback coach or whatever the case may be. And so when Weiss was gone, I knew who the quarterback coach would be, and obviously it's a surprise to everybody else. But I think we can definitely lean on Fred Jackson's opinion, a guy who knows a lot of football, that Kirk Campbell is the right guy for the job.
Let me just tell you. So when Weiss is out, and everyone knows Weiss is out, JJ is like literally standing on the table to Jim Harbaugh, like, hey man, we got the guy right here. Mm-hmm. This needs to be the guy that we hire. And so we were talking last night about profile. Profile as a player. He's on a different level now. Now when he says don't run that play,
he gets a vote.
He gets a vote, right? Like, this year, that second interception, that play's not being called, right? Because JJ is like, I do not want to throw this.
That play's thrown out on Wednesday.
Exactly.
We're not running that play.
Yeah, and so when he says, Coach, I want Kirk Campbell, that has some weight. And I think, again, the connection that he has with his quarterback coach, and his quarterback coach being a technician like he is, that's going to reap dividends on the field this year, Vegas.
No question. And I would say, from a leadership point of view, perhaps the biggest change the last 3-4 years is how much Harbaugh is willing to listen to his coaches and now his players as well. Aiden Hutchinson certainly got 2 votes on everything and earned them all. So fair enough. J.J. McCarthy, he's given, I think, more latitude towards his assistant coaches. Coordinators included, of course. Not that he didn't before, but it's a different level now, I think.
Yeah.
And I think the players feel more bonded to the coaching staff than I've seen since Harbaugh's been here. Now, that's partly due to the greatness of the coaches. Clean scale, you mentioned Campbell, of course. Bellamy, who does not love Ron Bellamy? I mean, just one of the first-class guys anyway. But, guys, I mean, he won a state title. They don't throw those out.
Right.
You got to connect. You got to motivate. He does all that. So he's got the staff. A more insecure coach has got to be the star at all times. And I've never once seen Jim take credit for a victory. I've never once seen him pass the blame.
Yeah.
He passes the credit, he takes the blame, and that's what you're supposed to do.